The invoice that shattered the illusion. Those receipts were never meant to see daylight. That's what a Paris hotel insider reportedly whispered after documents from Meghan Markle's Fashion Week stay suddenly leaked to the press. Thousands of euros, penthouse charges, designer fittings, private security, all covered by someone whose name Meghan allegedly refused to disclose. At first, it sounded like just another celebrity spending story, a flashy headline tied to a glamorous Paris trip. But the deeper reporters dug, the stranger it became. Balenciaga, the brand Meghan was rumoured to be representing, quickly denied any involvement. Her team went silent, and the leaked invoices told a completely different story. A different payer, a man, a company. A trail that didn't stop in Paris but stretched deep into Hollywood's inner circle. Insiders claim the revelation left Meghan in tears, with Prince Harry blindsided and furious. But beyond the emotional fallout was a much bigger question, one that could permanently reshape her image. If Meghan didn't pay for the luxury suite, who did? And why would anyone risk their reputation just to keep her name glowing during Paris Fashion Week? Because those invoices, every line item, every signature, may reveal more than a mystery sponsor. They could expose how far the illusion really went and what it cost to keep it alive. And when the truth finally surfaced, it didn't just end a trip. It sparked a storm no one saw coming. In early October 2025, Paris was watching. Cameras flashed along the Avenue Montaigne as Meghan Markle stepped out of a black SUV wrapped in custom couture and confidence. This was meant to be her moment, a carefully staged comeback during Fashion Week, signalling elegance, rebirth, and total control. But behind the polished smile, another story was already unraveling. That same week, something quieter was happening inside the Plaza Athénée, the hotel where Meghan was staying. Under mounting media pressure, a staff accountant reportedly shared scanned invoices with a French entertainment journalist. Within hours, rumours turned into hard proof. Those receipts showed more than numbers. They revealed contradictions. One booking listed under a luxury brand name, another under a Los Angeles-based corporation no one could identify. The dates didn't line up. The authorization codes didn't match. And when journalists contacted Balenciaga directly, the response was immediate and blunt. "We did not sponsor her stay." By nightfall, French outlets released blurred screenshots of the invoices, sending tabloids and social media into overdrive. Every line item from the penthouse suite to a €3,200 stylist retainer started forming a timeline. Meghan's team couldn't explain. For the first time since stepping away from the royal family, Meghan Markle's story wasn't hers to control. Headlines multiplied, and with them came the questions everyone wanted answered. Who paid? Who approved? And who leaked the documents that turned Paris Fashion Week into a scandal? The answer wasn't in the photos or the red carpets. It was buried in the paperwork and in the name hidden at the bottom of the final invoice. But that was just the beginning. In the weeks leading up to Fashion Week, Meghan's return was choreographed down to the tiniest detail. Her team painted the trip as a statement of empowerment. The Duchess turned global tastemaker, reclaiming her image after months out of the spotlight. Every photo op was meticulously planned, curated wardrobe, discreet security, a PR-approved guest list. Her arrival at the Plaza Athénée wasn't just a hotel stay, it was a performance. Fashion editors called her regal, yet reborn. Publicists threw around phrases like modern grace and humanitarian glamour. For a few days, the illusion held. Even critics had to admit the former royal had mastered reinvention. Social media amplified the spectacle. Influencers reposted her looks. Tabloids celebrated her triumphant comeback. Entertainment outlets hyped her rumoured Balenciaga collaboration as proof she'd been embraced by high fashion. Behind the scenes, the image machine was working overtime. Hotel staff signed NDAs. Photographers were told to shoot only flattering angles. Any mention of costs or contracts off limits. To the public, the Paris trip looked effortless. A fairy tale weekend wrapped in designer gold. But inside the industry, quiet doubts were spreading. A few editors whispered, no brand had officially confirmed hosting her. Others noticed inconsistencies in press briefings. One stylist remembered that her team talked like ambassadors, but signed like freelancers. The spectacle continued until one document surfaced and cracked the whole narrative. It started quietly, an anonymous email sent to a European journalist. Attached, scanned hotel invoices stamped with digital time codes, detailing every charge from Meghan's stay. At first, it looked routine, but a closer look told a different story. Guest info didn't match the publicised plans. The payment authorisation pointed to a third party, not her charity, not her media office. Each page conflicted with the image her team had built. Private transportation, designer fittings, late-night room service initials appeared that didn't belong to any known assistant. And one handwritten note, allegedly from the sponsor, became the spark that ignited a media storm. Within hours, timelines were reconstructed. Travel dates, photo sessions, and every invoice line were dissected like evidence at a crime scene. What had been effortless glamour now looked carefully financed from the shadows. Silence from her camp was deafening. Press statements vanished. Her publicist's line went unanswered. Scheduled appearances were postponed without explanation. The world was left asking the question no one wanted answered. Who actually paid the bills? And with that question came something far more dangerous: speculation. Rumours of secret sponsors, unnamed investors, and whispered favours spread like wildfire. The receipts, once simple documents, had turned into evidence in a story that refused to stay buried. Just when it seemed the mystery couldn't deepen further, another name surfaced, done that would change everything. The documents revealed only a set of initials almost meaningless on their own, but behind them was a connection that sent shockwaves through Meghan's inner circle. Journalists traced the trail through a maze of digital signatures, payment processors, and offshore accounts until one pattern stood out. The same electronic signature had been used in past media investments tied to a wealthy figure from Los Angeles, someone who once moved in Meghan's social orbit before her royal chapter began. Insiders dubbed him Mr. X. His involvement wasn't official, and it certainly wasn't public. But fragments of correspondence suggested he personally facilitated the payments, routing them through a company account to conceal the link. Observers were left wondering, why fund her stay? Was it loyalty, generosity, or an unspoken debt from years ago? The revelation hit her team first. Within hours, messages flew between advisors. Sources described a tense silence when the first article naming Mr. X appeared online. Meghan, they said, was visibly shaken, pacing, tearful, desperate to know who had exposed the connection. For Prince Harry, the news landed like a thunderclap. Those close to him said he felt blindsided, convinced the trip had been fully above board. Suddenly, doubt replaced trust. Every decision, every media appearance was now shadowed by suspicion. What had begun as a glamorous weekend had turned into an emotional battlefield built on invoices, rumours, and secrets treated like currency. Once the story broke, the world moved faster than any damage control could. Overnight, hashtags multiplied, headlines screamed betrayal, and commentators dissected every leaked document. What had begun as quiet curiosity became a wildfire, unstoppable and unpredictable. Fueled by speculation, Meghan's representatives initially dismissed the reports as mischaracterised, but the denials lacked conviction. Within hours, archived press releases vanished. Interviews were pulled, and promotional photos disappeared from fashion coverage. Observers noticed how quickly the narrative was being scrubbed, as if the internet itself had turned into an eraser. Behind closed doors, the tension was unbearable. Frantic phone calls, emergency meetings, late-night consultations with image strategists. The options were rehearsed: deny, clarify, or stay silent. Each carried risk. Silence implied guilt. Denial risked exposure. The truth was already outpacing control. In public, the once celebrated couple appeared fractured. Cameras caught forced smiles at charity events. Polite distance replaced warmth. Anonymous sources claimed Harry learned of the Mr. X revelation not from Meghan, but through the news betrayal, cutting deeper than any tabloid headline. Meanwhile, doors quietly began to close within elite circles. Invitations vanished, collaborations stalled, and partnerships were reconsidered. What had once been fascination turned to fatigue, a reminder that reputation, once tarnished, rarely fully recovers. For Meghan, the emotional toll was immediate. Reports described private breakdowns, tears, and the fear that her carefully rebuilt image had collapsed overnight. Friends urged her to step back, to let the storm pass. But the world was already scripting her next chapter. The Paris dream had become a global spectacle, its ripples reaching across oceans, touching her career, her marriage, and her identity. And yet one question lingered: was this just a single scandal, or the sign of something deeper? Scandals come and go, but patterns leave fingerprints. Analysts soon noticed a bigger rhythm beneath the Paris controversy. It wasn't just hotel bills or hidden sponsors, it was the recurring cycle of reinvention. Glamour masked conflict, and every fresh start carried a shadow. Every chapter of Meghan's public life seemed to follow the same arc: a grand entrance, praise, and then sudden unravelling. The details changed the city collaborators, the cause, but the outcome was eerily consistent. With the Paris trip exposed, the pattern was impossible to ignore. Defenders of her image hesitated. Observers asked, how could so many contradictions emerge from one carefully managed narrative? Was it misfortune, media distortion, or something more deliberate, a calculated control of perception designed to maintain sympathy while shifting blame? Critics called it strategy. Supporters called it survival. Some insiders suggested that every move, every appearance was carefully calculated to spark both admiration and outrage, a paradox that kept her name alive in the cultural conversation. Others insisted she was just unlucky, a woman punished repeatedly for trying to reclaim autonomy in a system that resented her defiance. But the facts told a clearer story. Each controversy mirrored the last, looping through headlines and hashtags like a familiar melody. The Paris leak wasn't a one-off mistake. It was part of a pattern. Control exposure retreat, return. Even her silence had rhythm. Disappear, reappear, reset. Every pause felt rehearsed. Every comeback felt timed. As analysts debated intention versus accident, one idea became impossible to ignore. Maybe it wasn't chaos at all. Maybe it was choreography. In the theatre of modern fame, accidents rarely happen twice. And for Meghan, the question was no longer who paid for the trip, but how much truth she was willing to pay for. By the time the storm began to fade, the damage was already done. What started as a luxury Paris getaway had turned into a mirror, reflecting something much deeper, not just about Meghan, but about the machinery of image itself. Every revelation, every denial, every emotional reaction peeled back another layer of how modern royalty and celebrity collide. The photographs that once radiated confidence now looked fragile, almost haunted. Every smile carried the weight of what came after: sleepless nights, strained conversations, and the silence between two people once united against the world. It wasn't just the loss of control, it was realizing the story had escaped her hands entirely. Paris became more than a scandal. It became a symbol, a reminder that in the empire of reputation, every choice leaves a receipt, and every illusion eventually demands payment in truth. The public might forget, or they might not, but the questions linger. Who leaked the invoices? Why fund her return only to unravel it? And if every narrative she builds eventually collapses, what really holds the foundation together? Maybe the official story is true. Maybe it isn't. But every photo, every headline, every whispered denial points to a bigger pattern, one that blurs the line between reinvention and deception. So what else haven't we been told? If you want to see how far this pattern really goes, check out our previous investigation on Meghan's mother, admitting shocking truths about Archie and Lilibet. There, the curtain lifts even higher, and the connections run deeper than anyone imagined. You're watching Star Spotlight, where the truth hides between the headlines.